Welcome to Coffee Talk in Del Mar. I'm your host, Debbie Salmon. Now, we've all had a culinary crisis in our lives, and it's no wonder with computer science replacing home economics. It's no wonder people are unsure about what to do with that giblet bag or whether they can really put that can of tuna in the freezer. But if you're interested in pantry preparedness or how to host that magical dinner party, you're going to really enjoy this interview with my next guest, freelance writer and armchair chef, Catherine Kaufman. Welcome, Catherine, to Coffee Talk in Del Mar.
Thank you, Debbie. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Now, you've made quite an arc from a legal beagle to a freelance writer and sort of kitchen, well, actually the kitchen shrink, aren't you? That's what they call you?
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your beginnings, because you're not obviously from the Del Mar area.
I'm a barrister and solicitor. That's the Canuck term for an attorney. And I pretty soon found out I didn't like lawyers and being a lawyer. So I moved south of my border, and I came to this wonderful place called Del Mar.
Okay, now you mentioned, I know you started doing a little bit of radio and worked in the newsroom for a while. How did you transition to writing from the law and that sort of media background?
I was always interested in writing. I was a good legal writer, and I got a job in a financial radio station, and my broadcast journalist said to me, you know, you can write, kid. You should think about it, you know. So I started to write newspaper articles for various publications, national and local. And
I think you've had some success in the magazine genre, haven't you? I think a couple of the one I like, the Get the Skinny on liposuction,
right,
and
the Skinny on liposuction,
keeping abreast of mammography.
Right, exactly. And I used my legal training in lifestyle articles, how to prevent yourself from getting sued on the golf course. I had
all right. Now that led you to the Del Mar Times, now where you're a columnist. So tell me a little bit of story about how you first met up with Joe Jelly.
Somebody read an article, whether it was liposuction or golf or whatever, and they said, you need to meet Mr. Jelly. I like your writing, and he'll find you funky and interesting, and why don't you meet him tomorrow? Why don't you go into Jelly Properties in Del Mar? And I took a big old pan of my famous macadamia nut brownies, and Mr. Jelly said, we need a cooking columnist. You're hired. Brownies are great. Keep bringing them every week. So, and I brought some today.
That's a good that's right, and I'm going to be sampling those very soon.
Absolutely.
Well, so now everything in the kitchen sink then was seen by an LA food critic, I understand, has launched you a little step further in a radio career. So what's happening with that program?
National food critic named Merrill Schindler had read one of my columns in the Del Mar Times, and he said, we'd like to put you on air. 15-minute spot on LA radio, KLSX 97.1 FM. It's on Sunday nights, about 6 o'clock. And we talk about kooky, quirky, weird, horrific recipes, and we have recipe contests for the worst recipe. And we just banter such silliness, and it's culinary stand-up.
Okay, so what's the winner of the worst recipe? I don't know if I want to know, because I won't be making it at home. But
I liked mac and cheese a la mode. It was somebody who, a guy, of course it's a guy, who ran out of milk and wanted to make mac and cheese, so he substituted vanilla bean ice cream, and he called it mac and cheese a la mode.
And that was a winner in his household.
He came second. The winner of the big prize was Velveeta fudge. Velveeta's got to be the universal guy ingredient. Anything with Velveeta and spam.
I was going to say spam.
It's going to be a winner for the horrific.
Well, I think I'll give that one a miss.
Cooking to me is a juggling act. You want it to taste good. You want it to look good. You don't want to do a home equity loan every time you go to the supermarket. You don't want to spend a whole day in the kitchen. So you're balancing all this. You're balancing your family's tastes and likes,
nutrition,
and
right?
Nutrition, and You know, I run a restaurant in my own home. This one's a pasta head, this one's a chicken head, this one doesn't eat carbs. But I found a universal recipe that you can do in 8 minutes, and that's healthy, and it's yummy. It's wonderful.
Okay, what is it? Everybody get their pens out at home, so they're going to be writing this down.
From a friend of mine's mother who's from Naples, and it's called pasta fazool, pasta and beans, and it really, you can make it in 8 minutes. You just take some olive oil, toss it in a pan, chop up some fresh garlic, which is the Italian's oxygen, and some fresh Italian leaf parsley, a little onion, open a can of Great Northern beans, throw in a can of stewed tomatoes, and boil up little salad pasta, throw it all together, and you've got a meal. And my kids will attest to it. They love it.
In under 10 minutes
Under
in one
10
pan.
minutes. Yes,
I like
one
it.
pan.
Clean up. Preparation is easy and cleanup is easy.
Exactly.
Well, now the life of a freelance writer must be anything but boring, because I understand you cover, you've talked about the variety of things that you've talked about besides food. You've got something that you're working on about handwriting analysis, or picking your partner by analyzing their handwriting. How did you come upon that topic?
Exactly. A girlfriend of mine had written, she's a graphologist to the stars, and she used to analyze celebrities' handwriting many years ago, and she wrote a book on analyzing handwriting for teens. And I said, we got to get this into the millennium, and we're gonna write a sequel to this, and we're doing it on helping women find the man of their dreams by analyzing his handwriting. And I've even infused a chapter on food. Surprise!
So you can tell a lot about a guy by how much his Y's dip below the line, or how he crosses his T's or dots his I's.
Exactly. Exactly. You can tell if he's obsessive compulsive, if he's a cheapskate, if he's going to commit or not, if he likes spicy foods or bland foods. You can just tell a lot.
You'll have to let us know when that book comes out. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people looking for that on the bookshelves.
I hope so.
And now, that sounds interesting, but let's get down to my favorite topic, which of course is food, because it sounds like in your role as the columnist, as the kitchen shrink, you are kind of the Dear Abby to the food Lauren, I guess, if there's. So what kinds of things do you write about, or what kinds of requests do you get for your column?
People are usually in a panic. The husband's bringing the boss for dinner, or I just got married and my husband's tired of making reservations. I want to learn how to I want to stock my pantry. I want to learn how to make some yummy, quick recipes. Some Lulus, like you can't believe. Somebody said to me, I just need to know how to bake a potato. My husband's bringing the boss home, and I'm bringing some steaks.
Baked potato, it's a basic.
We're going to grill some steaks on the barbecue. Just make 3 baked potatoes. So she emailed me quick, could you please help me? I need to bake a potato. So I said, take your potatoes, scrub them, put some sea salt on them, stick a fork in, put them in the oven for an hour, 350 degrees. An hour later, I get an email. She said, ouch, burned my hand. Left the fork in the potato. Didn't know. You stick a fork, put a fork in, you take it out. Just basic things people don't know.
Like putting a can of tuna in the freezer. Okay, now this one intrigues me.
Somebody emailed me, what can I freeze? Can I freeze a can of tuna? I'm going away for a few months, and I want to know.
Worried about that expiry date? Right?
Yeah, worried about expiration. I said, tuna is something, cans should not be frozen. They'll explode with all the moisture in the freezing. Somebody else said to me they made baked ziti, and they said we've done lasagna before, the no bake, the no boil
right.
noodles,
the quickest possible way.
And they said help families coming for dinner in 20 minutes. I did baked ziti using the same principle, no boil noodles. The ziti's rock hard. It's been in the oven for an hour. What do you do? I had to completely start fresh.
How about the famous paella recipe?
Oh, yeah, the paella recipe. Some friends, everybody's trying to impress me with their culinary talents, because I'm a kitchen shrink. Okay. And friends came back from Marbella, Spain, and she said...
The home of paella.
Exactly.
It's a wonderful dish, yes.
I'm making a whole Spanish-themed dinner. You've got to come. Okay, fine. She started with... This woman's dangerous in the kitchen. The husband admits it, she admits it, but she was trying.
She's having fun.
She's having fun. She started with gazpacho. It was wicked. It really was. It was canned tomato soup. Gazpacho is a salad soup. Beautiful chilled Spanish salad soup. She started with a can of tomato soup. She threw in some frozen vegetables and crumbled up some Doritos on top. Okay, she tried. But the paella, the piece de resistance, big platter of this saffron rice seafood dish, didn't look quite right. I don't know what she did to it. It had deep fried calamari in it and tomato sauce. And I said, it's not bad.
A little different than my recipe,
a
right?
little off, a little different. Do you mind sharing me the recipe? Sharing the recipe it came in, the source. We went in the kitchen. She showed me the cookbook, and the paella was on page 378, and stuck to the paella recipe. Pages were stuck together. Was deep fried calamari with marinara sauce. So she flipped the page and didn't realize that the pages were stuck together, and she combined two recipes.
So a little 2 for 1 there in the cookbook.
2 for 1. Good thing brownies weren't on page 380. Or
we could add paella brownies.
Yeah. So
okay.
it wasn't too much of a disaster.
Well, what about? I think there's. What about people that kind of mix things up? There's the thing of the pages being stuck together. You're not sure what your recipe is. Don't you have another sort of a Passover story? I think.
Oh, yes. We have a Passover story which just passed. Passover just passed, and a friend who absolutely abhors fish. She will not cook fish in our house, but her husband insists. They serve gefilte fish, a traditional stuffed fish, for Passover, and it's served with horseradish, either red or white horseradish. So she kept apologizing. I didn't make the fish from scratch. I hope you don't mind. I bought it in a jar. So she served a big platter of this gefilte fish, which is beige and spherical, and served it on the side with served horseradish on the side. And I tasted it, and something just was off. It just wasn't right. It wasn't rancid or anything. It was just weird. So the matzo ball soup came, and matzo balls are beige and spherical. And God, these matzo balls didn't taste bad, but just tasted a little fishy. And I went into the kitchen. I was helping her with the dishes, and I saw 2 jars side by side: the gefilte fish jar, the matzo ball jar, and she obviously transposed the 2, which looked the same, really. Don't taste the same.
No, that's quite a punchline.
That was a disaster.
Okay. Now, your law degree seems to come in handy. I noticed I picked up one of your columns, I think it was the end of last year. They were actually quoting the California Civil Code or whatever to somebody that had an expired restaurant coupon. So that law degree turns out to be a little bit handy after all.
Exactly. You cannot have expiration dates on gift certificates. 3 cases you can. First of all, it has to be in 10-point font on the front of the certificate in capital letters. That's a given. Otherwise, you can't have an expiration date unless it's for a freebie, like a promotional, free dinner at the beach house restaurant or whatever.
Right. Expires on, when quantities run out or something.
February 10th, 2006. If it's a food item, like a free turkey at the supermarket, then you can have an expiry date. And if you buy the certificate at less than face value, if it's a $50 certificate, you buy for $20. So then you can have an expiry date. Okay. So it's only those 3 situations you can have an expiry date. Otherwise, guys, if you have an expired gift certificate, go in and take it. Don't let them railroad you. California Civil Code.
Yep. Well, what about one last holiday story? Don't you have an interesting Thanksgiving tale, a tale of woe? Somebody was very distressed by their turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yes, a cousin had invited us for Thanksgiving dinner, and
this is a family story. I'm going to really get you in trouble.
Family story.
Okay.
They live in Atlanta, so we're okay. Bought a brand new, beautiful big home, state-of-the-art kitchen with double ovens. She never had a double oven before, and she put the turkey in the top oven, big 20-pound bird, and turned the oven on. Didn't realize she had turned the bottom oven on. 5 hours later, she's saying, God, what is wrong with this turkey? It's just not cooking. She turned the bottom oven on while the turkey was in the top oven. So she ran out to the supermarket and had to get sliced deli turkey from one of the convenience stores, and had to improvise.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of damage control, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that just after the break. So everyone stay with us. We'll be back with more of Coffee Talk in Del Mar. I'm your host, Debbie Salmon.
Did you know knowledge is the key to stopping the spread of AIDS? Yet millions of children are missing in education, missing their teachers who have died of disease, missing from class as they stay at home to care for their dying mothers and fathers. children are missing your support. Unite for children. Unite against AIDS.
So now, before the break, we were talking about damage control. So give me some. It seems a lot of people come to you through email. You do answer emails for free, apparently.
Absolutely.
Kitchen shrink at san.rr.com.
Right.
Is that right? So everybody will want to write that down so they can remember when they're, panicking in the middle of the dinner party, they can send you off. Are you online quite often? It sounds like you kind of turn things around pretty quickly when people write to you.
I'm sitting at my computer constantly, and I'm checking my emails every hour. So if somebody has an urgent culinary crisis, I'm there.
The hotline.
Right, the culinary hotline.
Okay, great.
If they're angsting out or they just want to do something therapeutic in the kitchen, I'd be glad to help.
Okay, good. So now, some of the things that people do in terms of damage control, how can they salvage things when things go wrong?
Well, even the kitchen shrink has had her moments. I am famous for my macadamia coconut brownies, and I'm always asked to bring them for a dinner or a dinner party or holiday event.
And episodes of Coffee Talk.
Right.
Which I'm going to be enjoying soon.
Yeah. And I just pulled a big pan of my famous brownies out of the oven, and my husband, who's a very good cook, said, let's just dust a little powdered sugar on top this time. Let's try something different. I said, no, they're really so fine without them. He said, no, let's just do a little dusting. He took the box of powdered sugar and he ripped it open and he started to pour, and I had a mountain ski resort on my brownies. I had piles of avalanche sugar on my brownies, and it was melting on the hot brownies. So I just, in a panic, I ran to the kitchen, to the sink, and I started blowing it and brushing it off, and the whole pan of brownies plopped into the wet sink. It was just horrific.
A disaster.
Just a disaster. I'm scooping up this wet mound of mushy chocolate brownies, and I don't know what to do. So I remembered I had bought my kids a beautiful big neon plastic beach pail, and I went in the garage and I got it. I rinsed it out, of course, because I'm a germaphobe. And I rinsed it out and I poured the pile of wet brownie into the pail, and then I stuck a shovel, a clean pink shovel in, and I topped it with some shredded coconut, and shredded hazelnut meal, and it looked like a big pile of wet, yummy beach sand in this beach container. And I brought it to my friend's house, and they were raving how brilliant to do this. It's like edible trompe l'oeil. It's fooling the eye. It looks like sand, but it's delicious. Your wonderful brownie mix.
So you went from a disaster to a themed dessert.
Right. Themed dessert, and everybody raving.
Do you think that the creative process of writing informs your cooking, or vice versa, or both?
I think the left side of the brain is constantly swirling and twirling, like my Cuisinart.
Well, what are some of the most creative things that you've seen in terms of other people? You mentioned a couple parties, a body buffet or something?
Yes, it was a Halloween party a couple of years ago, and a friend had taken a long table and she chalked it out like a silhouette of a body at a homicide scene, and she put different foods that are apropos for different parts of the body. She took, my favorite was scoops of cottage cheese on the thighs.
No one can relate to that.
For cottage cheese thighs, and she took a whole flesh-colored melon and she peeled it, and that was the skull. And then she wrapped cellophane rice noodles around it for the brain, and peeled grapes for the eyes, and red jello for the heart, and kidney beans for the kidneys, and kielbasa sausage for the intestines, and it was unbelievable.
Quite
it was
smorgasbord.
just quite the food to die for. It was quite a scary smorgasbord. Spooky.
Well, what about sporting events, something like that? I think, people have a lot of Super Bowl parties, or that sort of stuff. What kind of things can you conjure up there?
I like sport-themed pizzas. For the World Series, I like to make a ballpark pizza. And it's very easy. You just take a square cookie sheet, and when it's turned around, it looks like a baseball diamond. And you just lay the dough out, and you slather it with the sauce and the mozzarella cheese. And then the fun part, making it look like a baseball park. And you take a mushroom cap, and that's a pitcher's mound. And you take pepperoni circles to be the bases, and For the baselines, you could use white asparagus or mozzarella strips. The infield will be ground sausage. The outfield will be green pepper and green olives. And you put it in the oven, and you've got your ballpark pizza. And I tried it for the World Series. We had a little gathering, and people loved it.
Probably didn't want to eat it. It was kind of like a work of art by the sound of it.
Exactly. And then I had my mozzarella balls, with little baseballs with red pimento trim for the stitching of the balls, for the trim of the balls. And you can do the same thing for any sporting event. For football, you can do your football field pizza. With the goal post could be mozzarella sticks. And, you know, just...
Well, when food's fun, it seems people enjoy it a little bit more, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's sort of in this craze now. Fast food has obviously had a tremendous effect on what we eat, when we eat, the way we eat, and obviously, you know, an effect on our health. Do you think it's created a shortfall in the social aspects of food?
I think so. People just drive through and they fill their tummies up, and it's taking away from the social aspect. It's taking away from the warmth of the kitchen and the hearth and people getting together and the community feel. And cooking isn't just being a good cook. It's entertaining and opening your home up to your friends and your loved ones. And we need to go back to that for health reasons, for social reasons, for community.
Well, it's the way children really learn to eat, isn't it? So you develop a lot of your attitudes or your feelings around food when you're very young.
Exactly.
So I know you have 2 young girls, what, 10 and 8? Is
10
that
and
right?
8,
Okay. And how are they in the kitchen?
My 10-year-old likes to eat. She's a good critic and a connoisseur, and my 8-year-old is hands-on, chopping and frying and doing everything. Just a real good sous chef.
Well, it sounds like they have a little bit of a jump start. I'm wondering, some of these people that call you, it sounds like they were cutting class during home ec or something like that. How is it that we have so many people? We're such great food lovers, I think, here in this country. And we have so many people that are always in damage control. How did that happen?
I think, as you said before, we have computer science taking over the home ec slot in schools, and I think people just are busy. And they haven't acquired a love for cooking, or they haven't had a mom who's interested in cooking, a good culinary role model. I come from a family who loved to eat and loved to cook, and I was cooking before I was finger painting.
Right.
You know, I was 4 and 5, and I was in the kitchen
Yeah, I can
preparing.
remember my little light bulb oven, you know, with the little cakes, and it was so exciting to make stuff, my own brownies.
Exactly.
And, you know, macaroni and cheese was my first conquest, but still, you know, I could sort of, you know, I could put dinner on the table at the age of 9 if I really had to. So I think, so that's good.
And at the school, the Del Mar Heights, the principal has enlisted me to do a little home ec club.
Great. Okay.
I call it the Kooky Kids Cooking Club, and we have it once a month. And we had a pizza contest. The kids made pizzas, and whoever did the funniest decoration won a prize. And it's kids are asking, when is the next crazy cooking class going to be? We love it.
Well, the next thing that you're actually going to be doing for us too at Del Mar TV is actually a producer showcase on pantry preparedness. Is that right?
Exactly.
So you want to give us a little bit of preview? I don't want to give too much away, but what's going to be happening on that show?
It's going to be on the producer showcase, and I'm going to help people set up a kitchen so they're prepared for pop-in guests, for the family, just to be ready at any moment to put a meal together on the table in a half an hour. And basically, I think people's pantries should reflect their palates, what part of the world their palates gravitate toward. If you like Italian, fill your pantry with Italian foods. Use your noodle, fill it with any kind of pasta, orzo, ziti, whatever pasta you like, canned tomatoes. You need garlic. Gotta have a lot of fresh garlic, olive oil, balsamic vinegar. Just a few things will have you prepared for any guest that could step into your kitchen.
It makes sense that you're really filling things that come from a region. That's how a lot of people, you know, especially European foods, they cook from a region.
Exactly.
So if you've got those things in your pantry, you can form all those basic dishes that come from an area.
And a Latin pantry, corn, tortillas, salsa, avocado. Always have some frozen chicken and seafood and beef ready in Ziploc bags, ready. You can just pull it out and you can chop and make anything.
Okay. Now, are you a cookbook cook or are you a throw it all together cook?
A little of both. I also am I glean recipes from restaurants, and when I come across a dish I like, I pry it out of the owner. I need this recipe. And you know, they're really very, I'll put it in my column. If I like a recipe, I'll say, I'll feature you in my next column. I need this recipe.
Last but not least is every cook has a favorite gadget. So why don't you tell us about what yours is?
Okay. Well, my husband has been encouraging me to get some silicone. So I got the newest gadget, a silicone mitt. It can withstand 700 degrees Fahrenheit of heat. And you can just stick your hand in a boiling pot of water and take out a potato that's boiling if you don't want to bake it, and burn your hand on this fork.
That's a good idea. I've seen that, but I wouldn't have thought of that.
So this is terrific. You can get these at your, you know, kitchen stores.
And you can definitely put your hand in a boiling pot of water.
Exactly.
Okay.
Boiling pot of water, and it will not melt, and you just, it's good for the oven, it's good for hot water, it's good for chopping. If you're afraid to use sharp knives, it's also a good protectant.
It looks very prehistoric, almost shark-like.
Doesn't it?
Okay, what else have we got?
Okay, this I love. It's my zester grater. It's a microplane, and you just take a piece of chocolate or lemon rind, and you grate with it, and it just goes on as for garnish on a cake or whatever.
Okay.
It's your grater. I love this. This is my May West peeler because it can peel grapes and it keeps the flesh of the fruit intact. I was peeling tomatoes the other day. I peeled the whole bowl because it was such fun. I peeled about a dozen tomatoes because it took the skin off without destroying the flesh. And this I love. It's a steamer. It's just a glass steamer. You put it in your pot and you can steam vegetables, and it keeps them nice and crisp and al dente without taking all the nutrients out.
And there's so many different types of steamers on the market, aren't there? Sort of, the plastic, electric ones,
right?
Or, metal, but that's
the
nice.
Metal
It doesn't
basket.
have any metal interaction.
I like this, and then I use it as a strainer too.
Good idea.
And this is a little bowl scraper. When I made my brownies, I just scraped the last bit of batter out of the bowl, and I don't like to waste. So this was.
Those been around for a long time. You see a lot of those silicone spatulas now. But I actually helped my grandmother close up her house a few months ago, and my grandfather worked for Kraft Foods for a long time, and there was a bunch of those that were kind of giveaways, and I thought, wow, I hadn't realized that they'd been around as long as they have.
Nice.
Okay, well, you know what? Those brownies are staring me in the face, and I think we're going to have to wrap up because I can't wait to dive into them.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Catherine, very much for being on the show today, and I'm sure you've imparted lots of fun and flavor to everybody who is watching. And good luck on the Producer's Showcase.
Thank you so much. And please email me. I'll be glad to help you with any culinary crises that comes into your kitchen.
Okay, that email again is thekitchenshrink@san.rr.com. So when you find yourself in the pressure cooker, call out for the Kitchen Shrink. I'm your host, Debbie Salmon. This has been Coffee Talk in Del Mar. Join us next time.